folks, welcome back to Maple Farm, and I did actually finish the ploughing. I know, shock, horror, you are all amazed. Something I found that really helped improve the efficiency, performance, was to stick it in manual gear changing. If you maybe remember when we were here last time, the tractor was getting a little bit bogged down, particularly in the uphills. Come on, give me a gear now. And yeah, I stuck it in manual gear change, and essentially just left it in first gear, in high first gear, and it just plowed, pun intended, through the work. It was awesome. So yeah, I'm going to hang on to the plough because there's a ploughing contract that maybe we will go do, depending on how time allows. What we need to focus on is getting the field planted. But I just want to have a quick check. I think we're good for lime. Still. Yeah, we're good enough. Good enough for government work. So we need to lease a planter. We should be looking at returning that seeder we've got, but just in case, there probably are some seeding contracts we can pick up, so we'll hang on to it for a bit. But planters, what have we got as options? Probably, I think this is the option we're looking at, without going out and finding mods to install. It's an expensive boy. If we can afford to lease this guy, this is what I'd like to lease. $3 grand. Yeah, let's go for it. Have we got seed handy? No, we might have seed in the seed, but let's just buy another pack of seed as well. And because realism is key, we're just going to use the load button. And I'm going to hope that the tractor's heavy enough to not need a front weight. Hopes and dreams, folks. Hopes and dreams. It appears to be. And we're not going to put any fur in. We'll do fur afterwards. It's my preferred method. Just makes it less. Makes it more engaging, you know. We're going to have another job to do. So we'll come into the field. We'll unfold. Now I have the crop dependent rolling on, so we shouldn't need to roll this field, apart from the fact that the field currently says it wants rolling. So this will be interesting to whether that goes away or not. I don't really want to have to roll it, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's get GPS set up. 2 headlands is probably enough. It's 12 meters, so I'm going to go for manual disengage, because I do find it tends to turn it off a bit earlier than I like. So bung that on. Let's get into the field, and off we go. So as you can see it there, it just bogged down just a little bit. We'll see how we get on. If I look, no, it's getting rid of the need to roll. Awesome. So the game's had an update since we were last here. Most of the game updates were not massively interesting, I don't think. A bunch of the DLCs were updated again. Nothing that really leapt out to me as being super exciting. Precision farming had an update, and it had one that looked super interesting, but actually, and it sort of is, but not in a way, not in the way that I had hoped, slash some of us had hoped. So precision farming had a line in it that said it now allows for map dependent custom fertilizers. And what I and Eagles, we both like a bit of tinkering, had hoped is that that would allow us to put liquid lime in. And what it doesn't allow is, well, what's going on with that tree? Or has to put liquid lime in. It looks like it only allows for fertilizers. So Eagles had a play and it was treating liquid lime as a fertilizer, not as a lime. So there's that. Now, it's not all bad, because what it would allow is for things like compost to work with precision farming properly, which is cool. Assuming it doesn't already, I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. But yeah, I was kind of hoping that we could use liquid lime, but oh well. So we went back and we were looking at how TerraLife does it, and it turns out TerraLife uses the sacrifice of chickens and black magic, otherwise known as scripting. So TerraLife has a script built into the main TerraLife mod, which does all of the stuff to precision farming to let it do that kind of thing. So yeah. Anyway, that was a little bit disappointing on the part of Giants, I guess, that they don't include the thought that people might want to do more than just use custom fertilizers. They might want to use some of the other mods that are available on the mod hosting platform that they provide that would work really well with precision farming. But, you know, it is what it is. But otherwise, yeah, I was not massively excited by the update. The update came at a point where I was massively tired, so I didn't put any content out on it because it didn't really excite me. If there was anything mega exciting in there, I might have tried to get my exhaustion-soaked brain excited, but my exhaustion-soaked brain was going, "You sleep now, human," or something to that effect. And that is my laptop, which still has the audio turned on. So let's go address that, because otherwise that will be pinging away in the background. So let's do that, and I'll deal with that after we've done this. Yep, forgot I had that on and open. Unusually I'm recording this upstairs, which means I've got more computers on around me. So Mrs. D is currently visiting the teenager for a few days. So. Right. Why was I so tired, you may be wondering? You may not care. You may be on Discord and have seen why, because I don't think I posted it on YouTube. Maybe I did. Anywho, that Ultra thing that I was whinging on about for the last little while, I finished it on the weekend. I'll stop talking about running for a few months now after this, but yeah, so I ran my Ultra Marathon at the weekend, which meant not sleeping at the weekend, from waking up at 4 a.m. on Saturday until about 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, and during that time running 100 miles. Well, running/walking 100 miles, because I didn't run all of it. It's a long way. Don't even like driving that far. I know, I've heard that before. I didn't like running that far at some points. Anyway, done now. Life goal achieved. But yeah, it left me completely and utterly, physically and mentally exhausted. Thankfully, I'd booked Monday off work, and I slept for, well, I say slept, I was not conscious for about 12, 14, something like 14 hours. And as someone who normally sleeps for 6 to 7 hours, that's a lot. Not going to say sleep, because according to my Garmin watch, I really didn't get any rest during that sleep period. My body was screaming and in pain and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so. But we're done with that now. Goal achieved. Current intent is to never do one again. It was an experience. If you are in the UK, you will be aware that last weekend Storm Amy was here, which involved where I was, winds over 50 miles an hour for the entire weekend. And where I was running was very exposed and open to those winds. So yeah. Anyway, I did it. It was cool. And I'll stop talking about it now, but that's why there's been a pretty massive gap in content, because I was preparing for and then doing and then recovering from. But we have done that now. And I'm kind of hoping that now I'm done with it, I might have a bit more time and energy for doing this, because I'm going to be spending less of my weekends doing running stuff. And being tired from doing running stuff, because I was spending up to, I think at the peak, like 12 to 14 hours running at a weekend. So yeah. Let's move on. I guess cool news, if you're on console anyway, because if you're on PC, it's not new, exciting, cool news. Saxlop's out. I didn't watch Mr. CDP's map review because I've seen the map. But what I did in a very Linus of Linus Tech Tips approach is I read the comments. Now the reason for this was I wanted to see how, I assume that his audience are predominantly, well, not necessarily, but the people that would be excited about watching him do a map review would be predominantly console players. And I was curious about the community reaction to Farmson Briscoe's new map, given how it went last time. And it seemed to be mostly positive, which was great. Because last time things didn't go so well, and essentially last time Farmson Briscoe said he was never going to release another map on ModHub. Because people are assholes. But the little bit that I've seen from the reaction was positive, which is good. It was interesting that a certain other mapper had to put out a Facebook post updating people on the status of his map on the same day that Saxlop released on ModHub. I thought that was kind of interesting that he felt he had to do it on that day. You know, but anyway, I don't think any of you need me to say who that was. You probably know, because anyway, yeah. But yeah, I really want to have time to play on Saxel, but there are so many maps that I want to have time to play on. It's like Monarchs has so many, well, now so many cool maps. We did a little bit on one of them, but it's just not enough time in the day. To do everything that I want to do, because the part of the problem, let's say there's two parts to the problem, because two parts is always good, isn't it? Two parts is good. One is time, the other one is I'm really enjoying playing a few other games at the moment, and making videos on a few other games. So and that means that we don't play 15 different farm sim series. So And it also means that when I come back to playing Farm Sim, the passion's still there. She's good. She's good. This weekend, don't forget, hopefully I'll get this video out beforehand. I'm just thinking it's the... these videos are going to come out at about the same time. Hopefully, I'll try and make sure anyway, around when this video comes out, if you or you may well have watched, Mr. CDP and a bunch of other big creators are doing a thing with the Countryside Trust, I believe it is. Let me just fire up the old Discord one sec. Yeah, with Countryside Trust to raise money for getting disadvantaged kids onto farms to learn and stuff. So Mr. CDP and those guys are going to be streaming Saturday afternoon. You can have a bit of fun watching them do stuff. If you donate enough money, you could get yourself a cheap copy of Farm Sim on PC. If you donate some money, you can make Mr. CDP eat some weird things, maybe. Yep, you can see that on the website now, so that's fine for me to say. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and be involved in the background. I'm not gonna be streaming, but I have some things to do on Saturday now because Mrs. D is visiting the teenager. I have to do some family stuff, so I don't know how much free time I'm gonna have. But such is life as a grown-up, functional adult and all that kind of stuff. So we'll map update. Nitrogen bad. Doesn't need rolling. Needs rolling. Yeah, we just needed map update. Cool. Yeah, I've got stuff to do on Saturday, and I'm not sure what time it'll be finished. So I'll be there at some point. Hopefully, in the background, crashing tractors. But yes. Anywho, go watch it. It'll be funny, I'm sure, or fun, or words. Entertaining. That's the word I was looking for. And there's going to be some special guests and stuff. So I've had random aside. Regulars will know that for my severe headaches, I have medical oxygen. And we can go into why I have that in a moment if you're really interested. If you're not interested, you can switch your ears off and not listen, because I'm going to tell you why, just because there might be people here who don't know why I have it. And you might think, well, why the heck do you have oxygen? You just said you run an ultramarathon, and that sounds really confusing, so I'll explain it. But as part of that process, because I'm storing essentially something that is highly combustible in my house, the providers come and do a risk assessment to make sure you're storing it safely and how you're supposed to. And the person, so today I was supposed to be having that done, and the providers give you an appointment which is, we'll try and come on that day, but if the person that's doing it gets something that's more important come up, they won't come, and we won't tell you if they're coming or not. I know, it's good, isn't it? Yeah. So I've been working at home all day today with someone might turn up to do this or not appointment, which is really annoying and been kind of stressing me out because of some of the other fun things that I have. But anyway, so yeah, that's been today. I've been waiting for this guy to turn up, and it'll probably take him like 3 minutes to check that I don't store it next to an open fire, for example. The first one was stupidly quick, and that was the first time it was ever done. So anyway, why do I have medical oxygen in the house if I'm fit enough to run ultramarathons? Well, Thank you for asking. Really good question, sir. And I actually, or ma'am, or however you prefer to identify yourself, but I actually know the answer now, because when I was prescribed it, they don't tell you the mechanism, they just tell you that it might help, and if it does, awesome, and if it doesn't, well, it's never going to work. For me, it does help, which is great. And the reason that they prescribe it is the type of headache that I get, which is a cluster headache. It is described as other types of things, but if I say the other types of things is described as, potentially the video would be demonetized. So I'm not going to say that. They are really rather painful headaches. Let's say that. One of the pain mechanisms that causes these headaches is constriction of blood vessels in the head, I think particularly around some of the nerves around the eyes. It's been a while since I looked into the detail of this. It was about a year ago when I was originally prescribed it, when I actually managed to find a YouTube short which explained it, because they don't explain it when they prescribe it to you. And so what that does is it constricts the oxygen supply to the brain, essentially, which makes your brain hurt. And the pain is around the eyes, makes your head hurt. And it's kind of like you're being stabbed with an ice pick in your head. And so what the oxygen does is it helps counter the fact that the blood vessels are being constricted and limiting the supply of oxygen. So it saturates your body with insane amounts of oxygen. So if you've ever been in hospital, or like when you go to, I think probably the best explanation is like when you go to accident emergency, A&E, that kind of thing, or if you're with someone and you see the cylinders of oxygen that they have on the beds that they push people around if they need oxygen. One of those is essentially a single dose treatment for this. You basically take the oxygen cylinders. I have some huge ones in the house, I have some small ones, and you run it at the highest output rate it runs at. And you flood your body with oxygen, and that saturation, if the cause is this problem, very quickly stops it, because you're dealing with the cause of the symptom, which is a shortage of oxygen, rather than treating the symptom, which is pain. And obviously the awesome thing is it's just oxygen, so it doesn't have any side effects. Again, those of you that have been here a while know that in the past I've had all sorts of horrible medications to take to try and deal with these, and they all do things like put me to sleep till the next day and then give me a hangover the next day, and I hate all of those. Or if I'm at work, which is an hour and a bit drive from home, sometimes more like 3 hours, I can't take those because I can't then drive home. Now, there's a balance there, because if I'm in a huge amount of pain, I can't drive home anyway. So sometimes it's a case of take medication, sleep in the car for a few hours, drive home. And I've done that before. It sucks, because you wake up feeling like about 80 kilos of hammered horse, and then, but it works. So yeah, using oxygen. The really rambling long story is the nice thing about using oxygen to treat them is there are no side effects. That I've experienced yet. Now I've only had to use it, I haven't had to use it this year yet, because thankfully, luckily, I haven't had any of these types of headaches. I get headaches, but I get lots of different types of headaches. But yeah, thankfully none of this type of headache, because currently I don't have a neurologist who deals with some of the other types of treatment that I have to prevent them. But such is life with state-funded healthcare. But hey, I guess it's better than the alternative, where I would have probably had many thousands of pounds worth of medical bills from, well, even scarier, with Mrs. D's health problems, we'd have been bankrupt. Anyway, yeah, so if you were wondering why, as someone who claims to be fit enough to run loads, I have to have medical oxygen, that's why. It's not because I have any kind of medical shortness of breath. I had great fun trying to explain to my parents this process, because they were like, well, is it because you've got lack of oxygen or what? And I'm like, no. But we're trying to achieve, in fact, the complete opposite and massively oversaturate my body when my head is bad. Yeah. I don't know if that was interesting or not, but... And I've probably rambled about it before, but I have learnt there are new people here, so... And this is kind of what I do in my videos. I talk about all sorts of random stuff, not just the little tractor going up and down on the screen, so... Yeah. Anywho, we are getting there with getting the old maize planted. So, I think probably what we'll do is let's kick time up a little bit to ×5. And there are some contracts we can do, because we do need to recover a little bit of the money that we've invested. Or spent. But we've got a nice big cornfield now. I am not going to worry about the weeds in the oats. They're just not worth the yield impact is so tiny versus we'll check. I don't, unless we can use a mechanical weeder, it's not worth putting chemicals on, because we'll still get the yield hit. Based on my previous testing, unless it's changed. So we'll leave those. We are going to need to do some fertilizing at some point. So I think probably it'll be contract time soon. And then next month we'll be into refertilizing everything. But yeah, maybe while we've got this planter leased, I mean, if we just have a quick peek, got some. Oh, that's a tasty one. We should definitely be doing that and borrowing their kit. Yep. But we've got a nice sewing contract, which we could just go do with this kit. Well, we could use theirs for 700 quid. Maybe we'll do that, and we'll save a bit of wear and tear on our stuff. And any more potential leasing. I was saying it'd take half an hour. If we trust Better Contracts time estimates. And this hasn't taken that long. I think maybe we'll use their leased stuff, I think. So let's go fly a kite. No, empty his planter. That's the jobby. Got one nicely planted field of corn ready for later in the year. Let's go. Just going to quickly check on this oat field. See if we can mechanically weed it, because if we can, that is worth doing. We could put a weeder through that, actually. That is worth doing. Okay. So I think next time we'll be running a weeder through the oats. Well, maybe we could do that now, actually. That might be worth doing. I don't think we have a weeder. Drop that there. Probably more efficient ways to check, but you know, nope. So if I were a weeder, let's lease you for 300 quid. You are definitely worth doing. Now, I think we could use the little doits. I'm assuming I didn't pay attention enough. I'm assuming we'll be okay with these tyres as well. Let's go check. Looks kind of big on the back of this, but you know, it's fine. It is fine. Front's a little bit light. Let's just check. Yeah, didn't want to turn in there. Go to stage 2. I think we should be okay. Just nudge into the field a little bit. Yeah, I might actually have crop destruction turned off, so you know, you might be worrying for no reason. But anywho, steering assist, you should be plenty. It worked for what we did. So there we go. Off we go. And let's just double check now. Reader, fold reader. I know they are going. Awesome. Just the map wasn't updating very quickly, so it's worth doing. Awesome. Let's get rid of the weeds. Bonus job. So I think that way, probably I will spend April 2 contracting, a bit like last time. And that way we will get some more cash in the bank, and I think that's probably, you know, a better use of everyone's time, because you'll see progress, and yeah, I think that makes more sense. Oh, I just had to get the old hoodie off. It's got a bit warm in here, probably because I've got like 3 computers running. The big PC and the PC that I record on are both running under the desk, which means there's quite a lot of warmth coming up from underneath me, which makes it quite warm. So, yeah, I know he's already whinging about how hot it is, and it's October. So shouldn't it have stopped whinging about how hot it is by now because it's coming into... It count as winter yet? I don't know. I'd normally still be wearing shorts, but I've got more sensible clothes on today because I was expecting people from the medical profession to come visit, as I said earlier. So, you know, saying that, I've got my trust me, I'm an engineer t-shirt on, so not too sensible. You know, we've got to have standards, haven't we? Oh, is that summer hail? Gotta love FS weather. Seriously, Giants. You need to do something about the weather calendar on the game. We might have to look at adjusting it because it's stupid. Oh, you got to respect still the wife beater and shorts in April. Correct attire. Kind of like how the implement is adapting to the slightly sloped terrain. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it'd be nice to actually yeah. That made sense, right? What I very clearly articulated there is I'm glad I came up to the field and checked the growth state of the weeds and discovered that we are able to remove them with a weeder. And if you didn't get that from what I said the first time, well, you know, clearly you need to just try harder and pay attention properly. If you rewind it, it's very obvious from... At least put the subtitles on and I'm sure it'll be very clear from what I said. Now, if I was more bothered and hard-working, I would go in and adjust the subtitle so that it actually said that, because that would be really funny. But if there are subtitles, they're auto-created by YouTube, and I make no guarantees for what they actually said while I was saying that. Because YouTube does weird stuff and I can't control all of it. Like, turns out YouTube auto translates the titles and things for videos. If you have your language set to a different language, I am pretty sure I have turned off the auto dubbing because I hate it. So sorry if you speak a different language and you want to hear what YouTube thinks I sound like in a different language. But you can blame that on me hearing YouTube auto dub an Akmobile YouTube short into English, because I know what he sounds like in English because I've spoken to him in English. And when YouTube auto dubs him into English, it sounds nothing like him. It sounds awful. So yeah, I hate it. So it's turned off, or it should be, unless YouTube sneakily comes in and turns it back on again. I don't want AI translating me into different languages unless I choose to do it. Now, I did at one point look at trying to go through and try and translate some of my tutorials into other languages because there was a gap in the market. But it was a lot of work. So I didn't bother. And now YouTube will do it automatically. And I just don't like how it sounds, based on knowing how badly it translated someone I know's video and how they sound. it paid no attention to their actual real voice. Yeah. But some bits I don't seem to be able to turn off, so, you know. And I've seen other creators complain about not being able to turn that off, so it's a thing, unfortunately. It is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. Interestingly, another interesting one for you, because I found it interesting. I did my whole thing on Ford, and Giants never clarified their position really on Ford. But the modder who released the open top Ford tractors that were PC only has just resubmitted them as Lizard for console because they can't be Ford on console. And there's a lot of interesting comments on the Facebook post saying, but wait a minute, Giants have licenses to be Ford. You can just submit them as Ford, even though the modder says in the post, I've had to submit these as Lizard because I can't have them as Ford on console. And yet people still tried to correct him. It's like, don't you think if they could have been Ford, they wouldn't already be there? Because they're already Ford on PC and Mac. Now, I know that people commenting on Facebook posts, particularly that play on certain platforms that comment on Facebook posts, don't always register highly on certain scales. But adding 1 and 1 is not always the most difficult to get to. And I know reading comprehension is hard when you're on social media. And I know, 84.3% of people on social media can't actually read. And these days that's less of an issue because most social media is video and audio. So it's less of a handicap for them. But when they're typing their reply, it would help if they only replied to the post that didn't require them to read them first. So when they've read that it's been submitted as Lizard because it can't be submitted as Ford, before they turn around and said, well, you can have it as Ford, it'd be helpful if they read first that the guy had submitted it and it couldn't be submitted as Ford. But if they can't understand to read that, but they've read that it's submitted as Lizard, maybe, it's not their fault. The education system's really screwed, isn't it? And yes, there's a hell of a truckload of sarcasm in that. Oh, I feel these days. I was looking at Instagram earlier. I have a very small, not very many things that I follow on Instagram. But there was a lady that had posted something on Instagram, and I was going to reply to it. And then I was going to reply to it and put, and this reply includes sarcasm. And then I just deleted it because it's like, so many people won't get to the point where it says, this reply includes sarcasm. They will just want to rant at what I wrote as a reply. And I couldn't be asked. And I think particularly it was sort of exercise related content. And I think particularly a lot of women that post exercise related content sometimes get mansplained to about exercise, which she was commenting on the fact that she had been. And something funny popped into my head about it, and I then thought, well, I need to explain that this is me being sarcastic, not me mansplaining. But then if I write it and people don't get to the point where I'm putting that this is sarcasm, people will just think that I'm mansplaining more, and it's just not worth it. It's like how the best dad jokes are the dad jokes you have to explain, but that only works if you understand that the best dad jokes are the dad jokes you have to explain. And if you don't get that, you don't find it funny. So yeah. And maybe, you know, so anyway, I walked away. It was funny in my head, and it'll still be funny in my head. So yeah, the world's weird, isn't it? The world's weird as at the moment. And it looks like 2 more passes to go, and we will call it an video. As I said, I'll probably do the contracting work off camera, just to get some money back in the bank. Just need to look actually really, if I could remember my way around this darn game. Prices. So we're going to be what, July. Okay, we've got a few more months before we can sell the soybeans. It's nice to get the little dates out again. Yeah. I think we'll go do... I'll do that big baling contract. I'll probably do that planting contract. There might be some others that we get done as well. I would just like to improve our financial situation. Once we get to August, things are going to be a lot better. It might be that we get there relatively quickly now because the corn's in, this field's weeded, so we've really just got fertilizing to do and feeding the cows and whatever contracting we do. So we might get there relatively quickly. That should be a weeded field. Good enough for government work. So I'm going to get into some shelter because the hail is stinging the old shoulders a little bit. And say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. You are indeed awesome. And I will see you all next time for and bit more farming. Not sure what we'll be doing. Probably fertilizing in May, and it'll probably be a quick dash through May. Actually, we'll see. We might be progressing a bit further, returning a bunch of the kit that we've got at least that we don't need. But yeah, I will see you all next time.